How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf 6 of Masechta Gittin. Friends, today it's a very strong fragrance of paint. A very, very strong fragrance of paint. Somehow it doesn't seem as dusty as yesterday, though I may be incorrect. Yeah, I don't feel so comfortable taking a deep breath, that's the truth. Maybe through my nose. A slow, deep breath. I probably shouldn't do that. Alright, today we're studying Daf 6 of Masechta Gittin. Friends, well, what can I tell you about Daf 6? It talks about It's a gewaltige daf. I think I would have more koyach if it wasn't 8 o'clock at night and the painter just left. Alright. But it is a geschmack daf, is the point I'm saying. Even if I gotta go weiter, but it is a geschmack daf. Okay, so it's daf vav amud aleph, about 10-15 lines at the 2 dots. Itmar Bavel. When it comes to Bavel, so now let's go weiter for a second. Itmar Bavel Rav Omar. Yeah, the truth is I'm a shtickle nervous to breathe. That's the truth. Not because of the dust, because of the paint. That's the truth. Yeah. I don't want to breathe too much, but I need to breathe in order to record Babylon Talmud, and I need to record Babylon Talmud in order to then be able to open the windows, because if I open the windows right now, then lots of sunflower is going to come in and distract me. So I need to keep the windows closed to keep out the sunflowers, but then I can't breathe. It's a whole cheshbon. Okay. Itmar. Bavel, Rav Amar Keretz Yisrael Gittin Shmuel Amar Kechutz La'aretz. Oh, so when it comes to Bavel, breathe. Rav says it's like Eretz Yisrael for Gittin. Oh, it's like Eretz Yisrael, and Shmuel says it's like Chutz La'aretz. And my understanding is within Bavel, right? Just like when you go from one place in Eretz Yisrael to another place in Eretz Yisrael, you do not need to say B'fanei Nichtam B'fanei Nechtam. So also if you go from one place in Bavel to another place in Bavel, you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav U'B'fanei Nechtam according to Rav. Shmuel says no, it's Kechutz La'aretz, that it's like Chutz La'aretz, and you'd have to say B'fanei Nichtav U'B'fanei Nechtam just like in any other place in Chutz La'aretz. Lema B'akim Ifkes. So let's say that this is the Machlokas. The Ma'asav L'fi Shem B'kiyin L'Shma V'Hanei Gmiri, that Rav holds that B'fanei Nichtav U'B'fanei Nechtam is a Lishma concern. And in Bavel, they have yeshivas, right? Rav was in Bavel, Shmuel was in Bavel. I mean, there's the big, the Talmud Bavli was in Bavel. So they know about Lishma. And therefore, you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam. Umar Sovar, and Shmuel holds the Fisha in Eidim Mitzuyin L'Kaimo, that it's about Eidim being Mitzuyin L'Kaimo, and V'hanei Nami Lo Shchiche. And if, within Bavel, if you're far away, so then, how are you going to be Mekayim the stars? So you have to say B'fanei Nichtav U'B'fanei Nechtam as a Kiyum stars. V'tizba, but 1 second, we asked the Kasha, HaRabba Islay D'Rava, for 1 second. But we said that even Rabba, who says Lishma, still agrees with Rava, but he adds on the Lishma piece, but he still agrees with Rava that you need a Kiyum stars, and therefore, if there was a Kiyum stars concern, well then Rav would also have to be concerned about it. Rather, no. Everybody says, yeah, you see, I'm happy that I kept the windows closed because there's sunflowering outside. So everyone agrees, both Rav and Shmuel agree that you have to be Mekayim the shtar, right? And therefore, you say, in order to be Mekayim the shtar. Rav Sofer gave in the Iko Mesivto Mishkach Shchiche. Ho ho. But Rav says that, look, since in Bavel you have Rav was in Surah, Shmuel was in Arda, and they're going back and forth, you have Bachrim coming from Surah to Narda and back and forth, and from Narda to Surah, you have Bachrim coming from wherever they live, they're going to the yeshivas, and from the yeshivas to different Bachrim. So people are traveling to and from the yeshivas, so therefore if you need to be Mekayim Ashtar, you'll figure out how to do that, and therefore Rab says you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam, because even Kiyum Shtaris, since people are traveling to and fro from yeshivas, you could be Mekayim the Shtar. You can find somebody to be Mekayim the Shtar. Ushmuel Savar, where Shmuel's opinion is, Mesivta b'Gisayu Trudei. Yeshiva Bachrim are busy learning. They're not busy studying people's signatures. They're not doing business. They're not dealing with shtaros and documents, and they recognize so-and-so's signature. They recognize the Blada Gemara. That's what they recognize. So Shmuel says, Eino Chinami, that there's lots of students traveling to and fro from yeshivas, but they're not going to be much help when it comes to Kiyum Shtaris, and therefore you would still have to say B'fanei Nechtam. Itmar, Nami was Takoich, it stated, Omer Baba, Omer Avuna, Osinu Atzmeinu, Bebavel, Keretz Yisrael, Legittin, Michi Osa, Rav, Lebavel. And it was also stated that says Rabba, the name of Ravuna, that in Bavel, they're like Eretz Yisrael when it comes to Gittin, that you don't have to say B'fanei Nechtam, Michi Osa, Rav, Lebavel, from when Rav came to Bavel, and then and he set up the yeshiva in Surah, and there was Surah, Shmuel was in Arda, and you have the Bachrim going from place to place, and therefore, right, in Rav's opinion was that you don't need to say B'fanei Nechtam because you can be Mekayim the Shtar. Wow, my earplug case has dust all over it. Everything Pashut has dust. Hopefully somebody's going to come and clean, and we can whip this place back into shape. Alright. Okay. Now, Moshe Rabbi Yirmiyah asked the kasha, how could we say that Bavel is like Eretz Yisrael when it comes to Gittin, that you don't need to say B'fanei Nechtam? After all, Rabbi Yehuda Omer says, Rabbi Yehuda, Merekem la Mizrach v'Rekem ka Mizrach, that from Rekem eastward is outside of Eretz Yisrael, and you'd have to say B'fanei Nechtam, Rekem being included in outside of Eretz Yisrael. Me Ashkelon l'Darim v'Ashkelon kidarim. From Ashkelon and southward is outside of Eretz Yisrael, and Ashkelon would be considered outside of Eretz Yisrael for Gittin. Me'ako l'tzofin v'ako kitzofin. From Acre and northward, and Acre is considered like northward outside of Eretz Yisrael. V'ha Bavel l'tzvona d'Eretz Yisrael. Babylonia is northward of Eretz Yisrael. Now, if Babylonia is Iraq's and it's Pashut eastward, but it's, I guess, technically shtickle northeastward. V'ha Bavel l'tzvona d'Eretz Yisrael. Babylonia is north of Eretz Yisrael. Kaima. Tichsiv, as the pasuk says, Vayomer Hashem Eli, that the Eibishter says to me, Mitzofon, that from the north, Tipatach Hara, and I believe that that's talking about Nebuchadnezzar from Babylonia. V'tanan Reb Meir, Omer says Reb Meir, Akko ke'Eretz Yisrael l'Gittin, that Akko is like that Acre is like Eretz Yisrael when it comes to Gittin. Ba'afilu Reb Meir lo ka'omer ela ba'Akko de mekarva, and when Reb Meir says that Akko is considered like Eretz Yisrael when it comes to Gittin, that's because Akko is close by. Ava Bavel de merachka lo. But Babylon, which is far away, would not be considered like Eretz Yisrael. It's too far away. Akko, fine, but not Babylon. Humosiv la from Mefarik la. So Rabbi Yirmiyah asked the kasha, but he also answers the kasha. Levar mi Bavel, with the exception of Bavel. So Ki'ilu, in general, outside of Eretz Yisrael, you would have to say B'fanei Nechtam, the exception being Bavel. Alright. Meaning that when Rabbi Yehuda says that, from the right, Akko northward is outside of Eretz Yisrael, except for Bavel. Arechani Bavel, until whence? I think whence is where, right? Until whence is Bavel? Omer Papa says, Papa, ki machlekes liyuchsin kach machlekes legittin. Well, whatever the machlekes is when it comes to yuchsin, it's the same thing for Gittin. That by yuchsin, lineage, to determine pure lineage. So Bavel is considered to be the purest of lineage. So just like the definition of Bavel for lineage, it's the same for Gittin. Rav Yosef Omer says Rav Yosef machlekes liyuchsin, that no, the machlekes by yuchsin is by yuchsin, by lineage it's by lineage. Avol legittin, when it comes to Gittin, tivyakol ad arba tinyana de gishra. When it comes to Gittin, the borders of Babylonia are until the second willow swamp past the bridge. So if anybody asks you what's the borders of Bavel for Gittin, you tell them until the second willow swamp past the bridge. After that, it's no longer Bavel. Fine. Rav Chizda matzich me aktispun le ve'ardoshir be'ardoshir le aktispun lo matzich. Okay. Rav Chizda says that from Aktispun to Be'ar Dasher, you have to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam. But from Be'ar Dasher to Aktispun, you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav or B'fanei Nechtam. Le'mak Saver, V'shem B'kiyin Lishma, V'hani Gmir. So let's say that the reason why from Aktispun to Be'ar Dasher you have to say, but from Be'ar Dasher to Aktispun you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam, is because in Be'ar Dasher they know about Lishma, and therefore a get originating from Be'ar Dasher you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam, but from Aktispun they don't know about Lishma, so therefore you have to say it. V'tizbra, we ask the kasha v'Rabba islay derava, but even if they know about Lishma in Be'ar Dasher, but still you have to be concerned about Kiyum Shtaris. So everyone agrees that B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam is a Kiyum Shtaris thing. V'hanei kevin da'azle l'shuka l'hosam hanach yadei b'chsimis yoda dehane v'hanei b'dehanach lo yodei my time in b'shukayu trije. The thing is, Aktispun was a big marketplace, and the people from Be'ar Dasher would come to Aktispun to do business. Now the thing is, because Aktispun was a business hub, so the people from Be'ar Dasher, and I guess from other places as well, would come and they would make contracts, and the contracts would stay in Aktispun, which is where the business hub was, right? You would come to Aktispun, you'd make orders there, and the people, the businessmen in the business people in Aktispun had these contracts, and they have these contracts. They recognize signatures, right? They're doing business, and they understand in Aktispun. They recognize different signatures, which is not the case in Be'ar Dasher, which is a sort of further out place that they're not doing as much business there, and therefore the people there don't necessarily recognize signatures, and therefore, if you're coming from Be'ar Dasher to if you're delivering a get from Be'ar Dasher to Aktispun, you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam, because you can assume that there are people in Aktispun to be Mekayim the Shtar. But if you're bringing a get, this paint fragrance, paint fumes, alright, sunflower people. But if you're bringing a get from Aktispun to Be'ar Dasher, you're going to have to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam, because in Be'ar Dasher there's not going to be anybody around to be Mekayim the Shtar. Because when they come to Aktispun to do business, they're not looking around at signatures. They're busy. They're busy in the shuk. So again, since the people in Be'ar Dasher go to Aktispun, so the people of Aktispun, who are the business people who have lots of documents and signing and this and that, so they know they recognize the signatures of the people of Be'ar Dasher. But the people of Be'ar Dasher, they don't know the signatures of the people in Aktispun. My time outcome, they're busy, in the market. They're not paying attention to whose signature is whose. Rabbi Bar Avua matzrich me'arsa le'arsa. Rabbi Bar Avua required B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam from one row of houses on one side of Rosh Hashanah to another row of houses on another side of Rosh Hashanah, because I guess they didn't recognize each other's signatures so good. Rav Sheshes matzrich mishchuna l'shchuna. Rav Sheshes requires from one neighborhood to another, and apparently a neighborhood is for these purposes just considered three houses together. V'Rava matzrich ba'os shchuna. Rava requires even within this 3 houses shchuna thing. V'Rava da'amar l'fishein edim between the kaima. But doesn't Rava say that it's about edim being available to Mekayim the Shtar within this little shchuna of 3 houses? Shouldn't they be able to be Mekayim the Shtar? Right? Would they should recognize each other's signatures? Shani b'nei Mechoza denied it. Yes, but Rava lived in Mechoza. Mechoza was a very wealthy neighborhood, and therefore people are always out traveling on business and they're away, and therefore they don't necessarily recognize each other's signatures. Rav Chanan Mishtoi. Rav Chanan relayed that Rav Kahana Aisigita, that Rav Kahana was delivering a get. V'lo yadaina imisur l'nardoi minardoi l'sur. Now I don't know if Rav Kahana was bringing the get from Surah to Nardah, or from Nardah to Surah, but also the Kami de Rav. But he came before Rav. I imagine he came before Rav in Surah, either before he left to Nardah, or maybe when he came back, when he came from Nardah to Surah. And Rav Kahana asks Rav, do I need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam? Rav says, look, you don't need to say B'fanei Nichtav B'fanei Nechtam. V'avadet ahanis. But look, if you do say b'fanei nechtam, so givaldik. You won't have to do a kiyum shtaris, and like it'll work. So you don't need to say b'fanei nechtam, but by saying so, then you avoid any requirement to do a kiyum shtaris because you said b'fanei nechtam. Ma'i avat ahanis. What does it mean that if you did it, then it works? The iosi ba'al ma'arer lo mashgichin beit. That if the husband now comes and says it's a fake, we won't listen to him because you already said b'fanei nechtam u'b'fanei nechtam. Kedetanis, we learn in the Brayso ma'aseh ba'adam echad she'vi get lefnei Rabbi Shmuel. There was a ma'aseh with a fellow who brought a get before Rabbi Shmuel. Amar, and he asks Rabbi Shmuel, tzarich ani lo b'fanei nechtam o any tzarich? Do I need to say b'fanei nechtam or not? Amar, so Rabbi Shmuel says, Bini, my son. Mehechon ata, where are you from, my son? Amar, he says, Rebbe, mikfar sisoy ani, I'm from Kfar Sisoy. Amar, so Rabbi Shmuel says to the fellow, tzarich ata lomer b'fanei nechtam shelo tizakik le'edim. So you need to say b'fanei nechtam just so that it would avoid you having to get witnesses in the future to do a kiyum shtaris. Meaning, the point being that he doesn't have to do kiyum shtaris, but if you want to avoid in the future having to find edim to be mekayim the shtar, just say b'fanei nechtam, and then you can avoid that situation in the future. After this fellow left, nichnas lefanav Rabbi Eloi. Rabbi Eloi comes in to Rabbi Shmuel. Amar lo, and he says to Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi, Balok Kfar Sisoy muvlas b'tchum Eretz Yisrael v'krov l'tzipor Yosem Yaakov. Kfar Sisoy, as we learned the other day, is one of those places. We learned about Kfar Ludim, but Kfar Sisoy is another example of those places that are like the New Jersey, New York metaphor, the little cutout into Eretz Yisrael. So it's closer to Tzipori more than Akko is, right? Right. We said that according to the Tana Kama, once already you get to Rekem and Cheger already, you don't need to say b'fanei nechtam. So Rabbi Eloi asks Rabbi Shmuel, how come you said that it needs to say b'fanei nechtam? You shouldn't have to. V'tanan Rabbi Meir Omer, Akko k'Eretz Yisrael Gittin, that Rabbi Meir says that Akko, which is further away from Tzipori than Kfar Sisoy is, Akko is considered like Eretz Yisrael for Gittin. V'afilu Rabbanon, and even the rabbis who say that it's not like Eretz Yisrael, lo pligi olei to Rabbi Meir ele ba'Akko, they argue with regard to Akko d'meracha because it's far away. Avak Kfar Sisoy d'mekarva, but Kfar Sisoy, which is so close, lo, right? They would say that you would not need to say b'fanei nechtam. So Amar lo. So Rabbi Shmuel says, look, shtok b'ni shtok, chill out. That's what he says to Rabbi Eloi. He says, chill out. Hol v'yotza hadavar be'eter yotza. Look, once already, he went out and he's going to say b'fanei nechtam. It's gonna, and then they're not going to have to do a kiyum shtaris in the future. Just let it slide. Ha'iu nami shelo tizakik le'edim ka'amar le lo saimu akame. And even Rabbi Shmuel, who told the fellow to say b'fanei nechtam, he didn't say you have to say b'fanei nechtam. He said only say b'fanei nechtam, so in the future you won't have to be mekayim the shtar. That's all he said. But he didn't say you have to be mekayim say b'fanei nechtam. It's just if you do it, then you won't have to do kiyum shtaris in the future. And the Gemara says Rabbi Eloi didn't hear that part of Rabbi Shmuel's statement. All he heard was you have to say b'fanei nechtam, which is why Rabbi Eloi didn't understand. But really Rabbi Shmuel was saying say b'fanei nechtam so that you can avoid having to do a kiyum shtaris later. Shalach le Rav Yosser le Rav Chizde. So Rav Yosser sends to Rav Chizde Gittin aboy misham lekan, the Gittin that come from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. Ein tzarich lomer b'fanei nechtam u'b'fanei nechtam. Wait, what? Yes. Ein tzarich lomer b'fanei nechtam u'b'fanei nechtam. You don't need to say b'fanei nechtam. Again, I think my brain is stopping to function. The beginning by misham from there, from Bavel lechan to Eretz Yisrael, because Rabbi Yosser was in Eretz Yisrael. Ein tzarich lomer b'fanei nechtam le'maksav lefi shem b'kiyin l'shma b'hani g'mirei. So let's say that's because Rabbi Yosser holds that b'fanei nechtam is a lishma thing, and in Bavel they know about lishma. V'tizbra for Rabbi Isli Rava, but Rabbi holds like Rava. So even if you say it's lishma, you still have to. It's about lishma. You still have to be mekayim the shtar, and Bavel's far away. Ella d'chuliyama ba'inon l'kaymo. Everyone agrees you have to be mekayim the shtar. V'cheven de'ika rabim de'salke v'nachte mishkach shchiche. But since there are lots of people who are coming and going from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, So you could be, there are people who would be able to be Mekayim the Shtar, or at least, get people who could be Mekayim the Shtar. Amr of Yosef says of Yosef, Man lema lander Rav Yosef bar Samchu. Who says that we could rely upon Rav Yosef? Rav Yosef just said that from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael you don't need to say before nechtem. Who says that? Who's Rav Yosef? Who says you can rely upon him? V'od, and more so, ha'iyush deshalach le Rav Yehuda. Rav Yosef doesn't really seem to be so great. He seems to be a shtickle am haaretz, because after all, he sent to Rav Yehuda, B'nei Adam ha'olim misham lechan, that the people who are coming from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael to learn Torah, and they're leaving behind their wives and their children, in kimu ba'atzman, they're being mekayim about themselves, vayitnu ayeled bezona, that they are giving their children off to harlots, v'ayalda machu b'yayin vayishtu, and the daughter they sold off for wine and they're drinking. V'chosav le below sirtut, and Rav Yosef wrote this without sirtut, without putting lines on the parchment. V'amar b'yitzchak shtayim kosvin shalosh and kosvin, and Rav Yitzchak says that you can write 2 words without sirtut, but 3 already you would need to have sirtut. Where shalosh and kosvin. B'masnisa tana we learn in the Brisa shalosh kosvin arbein kosvin. You can write 3 words without sirtut, but you would have to have sirtut for 4 words. So Rav Yosef says, I don't understand. Who's this Rav Yosef? Why should we rely upon him? It seems like he doesn't really know what he's talking about. So Amalei Abaye says to Rav Yosef, Atu called lo yada hadar Rav Yitzchak lavgav Rabu. What? Anybody who's never heard about this Brisa of Rav Yitzchak, all of a sudden he's an Am Haaretz. B'shlom milsa detayi b'svar l'chai. I understand if you're saying that he doesn't know how to use his brain. So say to Ha'gemari v'gemar lo shmile. But you're asking him a kasha from the fact that he didn't hear of a Brisa. Okay, he never learned of the Brisa. Leave him alone. What do you want him to tell you? What do you want me to tell you? If he doesn't know how to use his brain, that's one thing. But here, he never heard of the Brisa. Leave him alone. V'od, and more so, I'll talk a proof fakert that Rabbi Yosef is mamish the highest of the high, the holiest of the holy, the sweetest of the sweet. Rabbi Yosef, who the asking Mori al Yodeh, the Eibishter agreed with Rabbi Yosef. The pasuk says, "Vatizna olav pilagsho," by the Pilegish begiva. It says that there was a fellow that is Pilegish. His concubine was Mizane. Rabbi Yosef Omer Zvuv Motzula. Rabbi Yosef says that he found a piece of fly. Rabbi Yonasan Omer Nima Motzula. Rabbi Yonasan said he found a hair. Vashkech Rabbi Yosef, we're going to explain what that means in a minute. Vashkech Rabbi Yosef Eliyahu, and Rabbi Yosef found Elijah the prophet. And he says to Elijah the prophet, Maika Ovid HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he says to Elijah the prophet, he says, what's the Eibishter doing right now? Elijah says, Osik Pilegish Begiva. He's learning the sugi, he's learning Pilegish Begiva. Maika Omer, and Rabbi Yosef says, what's he saying about it? Omer Lei, Ev Yosef B'ni Kachu Omer, Yonasan B'ni Kachu Omer. Elijah says that the Eibishter is saying, well, it's a machloikis, that Rabbi Yosef says that it was a fly, Rabbi Yonasan says it was a hair. Omerle chaz v'sholim. So Rabbi Yosef says, how could that be? Umiika sveika kamishmaya. Are there any suffix? Are there any doubts by God? God knows if it was a fly or if it was a hair. So then, what do you mean? It's a machloikis. So Omerle elu divrei Elokim chayim. So Elijah says, look, both you and Rabbi Yonasan are divrei Elokim chayim. The words of the living God. Zvuv matzav lo hikpid nima matzav hikpid. He found a fly and it didn't bother him, but then he found a hair and it bothered him. Amr Yehuda says, Zvuv b'kaire v'nima bo sumakum, that the bug, that the fly that he found was in his food, v'nima, and a hair was on her private parts, and he got upset. Zvuv me isusa v'nima sakanta, that while the fly is merely disgusting, that there was a fly in his food, but the hair on her private parts could be potentially dangerous. Ikad Amr, those who say, Idvidi b'kaire zvuv onsa v'nim pshiusa. No, those who say that both were taka in his food, but if a fly falls into the food, what do you want me to tell you? A fly fell in, but hair could have been prevented. Friends, I'm gonna bounce because I'm gonna bounce. That was the Vav of Masechta Gittin. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.